do it. So let's do lead gen. I feel like we've gotten pretty good at this, and this is a different story back in the day. I always, survey, hey, how many of you, received a cold call or a spammed email and you responded, and no one raises their hand. And then how many people went online and did research and bought something, and lots of hands go up, and people get that today. I mean, we've been talking about the empowerment of the buyer, how the internet's changed that. And the funny thing though is, if you think back to your sales and marketing investment and think about that total budget and how much are you spending on advertising, how much are you spending on trade show booths, how much are you spending on cold calls, like interruptive stuff that like we just admitted doesn't work, or you as a buyer don't like, versus how much do you spend on, ranking organically in Google or organically being found in social media? It's probably still an opportunity there. That's what I find. I think it's just people don't know what to do. And we've gotten better at this, but when you start thinking about how the correlation between good journalism and good marketing, I think lights start to go off in terms of how do I want to think about effective marketing and investments as a founder, as a head of sales and a head of marketing. The second hire for us at HubSpot in the marketing department was a journalist for the New York Times. That was the second hire, a reporter for the New York Times. So it's just content's king. And, we got to shift our mindset of what we mean by marketing. And so I can take you through a sequence of that is you want to kind of create this content engine. And when you hire this journalist or this content producer, they don't necessarily have to be an expert in your domain. That's your job as founder, as head of sales, as head of engineering. You're the thought leader. And as you look around your company, there's probably 5, 10, 15, 50 thought leaders. Your salespeople are thought leaders. They talk to buyers all the time. They know how to solve their problems, right? And so the problem is they don't have time to write, and most of them suck at writing. So that's the job of the content producer. The journalist is, they're going to suck all that amazing thought leadership out of the brains of the people at your company who are super busy and not as talented at writing. And so as founder, CEO, head of sales, head of marketing, whatever, your job is just set up that sequence. Every Friday morning, Mike, the journalist, is going to sit down with one of the thought leaders for an hour and interview them on a question that keeps coming up amongst your buyers. Not about the product, but about problems, about goals, right? And an hour is a long time. They can write a 5-page ebook. That journalist can go off for 2 days and write a 5-page ebook. They can write 3 or 4 blog articles that promote various elements of stuff in the ebook. They can post up dozens of social media messages that they schedule over the course of a month that all link back to one of the blog articles. And at the end of the blog article is a call to action to download the ebook. And most importantly, in that landing page, they find out the ebook is awesome, but free. I just need your name, phone number, and email, and it's yours, right? So here's a really good example of that. This is a recruiting firm out in the UK that focuses on scientists, so really hard people to find, very sophisticated people to find. So they've got obviously a two-sided marketplace. They have hospitals and biotech companies, et cetera, that are recruiting, and they've got scientists that are coming out of school or that current jobs, right? And they were just cold calling all the time. You folks have received these cold calls, right? And they just wanted a better way to do it, so they went out to find these buyer personas, created a content campaign, and executed. So here's what it looked like. Here's a LinkedIn post on one example, which is why do your employees keep leaving? Clearly targeting the employer who's having trouble maintaining talent and finding new talent. You click through, you find this beautiful article. The image is the same. It's very thoughtful. Why do your employees keep leaving? You read through the article. At the bottom, bam, here's the employee engagement report for 2017. That looks cool. I got to engage my employees. Click through. It turns out the report's free. I just need your first name, last name, work email address, what country you're in, and are you an employer or a job seeker, right? So download the engagement report. It goes right into our lead funnel. And not only do I capture all that, from the social media, but as you know, when you write about this stuff, you start ranking. So little company, 100-person company out in the UK, do a search for why do employees keep leaving. There they are on the first page of Google. Do that every single week. You start getting a lot of long-tail traffic and life is good, right? Conversely, on the other side with the recruit, what is immuno-oncology? I should read this article. I don't know, click through, there it is, the article at the bottom, not employee engagement report, how to write a CV, a resume that gets you interviews, clearly targeted for the employee, right? I click through, of course it's free, I just need to give you my email and it's yours, and that changed the game for them. 14 times increase in web traffic, 15 times leads. They used to get 80 leads a month, they got 1,200 leads a month just 6 months later. Sick. Right? So, and they got their back on 100% annual revenue growth. This is not the sexiest company in the world. It's a recruiting firm, right? So just, everyone gets that today. Look at what we're doing today, right? We're doing a webinar, we're doing content. It's just how you use and how you implement it, right? And the other part that often comes up is like, okay, well, I got to align these things, and it's, we're sitting in a world where, marketing, most buying journeys start in a domain owned by marketing and they end in a domain owned by sales. And so unfortunately, when I go out and talk to a lot of these people, sales and marketing not only don't communicate, they kind of hate each other. All right. So marketers think that salespeople are overpaid, spoiled brats, and salespeople think that marketers do arts and crafts all day. And they revert back to their respective corners of the office and set up their trade show booths and do their cold calls. And that is the kiss of death in today's environment, where what we just said is so many buying journeys start in a domain owned by marketing, i.e. the website, social, search, etc., email, and end in a domain owned by sales, whether it's a webinar, demo, or an in-person meeting. So aligning these really nicely is an enormous competitive advantage and a death if you don't do it. Right? So how do you do it? Well, here's a really simple model. You can go through and basically take your leads and classify them by engagement and firmographic or demographic. All right. So this is obviously different for each company, but like let's just say that we really wanted to sell, like companies with over 10,000 employees are super valuable. So let's classify that as an A lead, right? And the mid-market ones with between 10,000 and 1,000 employees is a B, and then 1,000 to 100 still on our addressable market, but it's a C lead. Then we got to look at engagement, like because obviously like a big company lead that just downloaded an ebook is not as qualified as someone who like looked at our pricing page and requested a demo. I mean, that's a really engaged lead. So I can have an engagement score too. This is a very simple version, but where an A is a demo request, B is ebook download, and C is a blog sign up. And now what it can do is assign lead values to each one. And so you go from a world where it's like I need a specific lead score that's based on 80 permutations, which is just overly complex, or you can just do a pure number of leads. But as we know, not all leads are created equal. So now you're creating a scorecard for marketing that you're building with marketing. This is establishing the conversation, the SLA, the service level agreement, as we like to call it. And you're now in a position to put marketing on a revenue quota just like sales. Sales has to hit $1 million this quarter. Marketing has to hit $1 million of lead value. AAs are worth 100, CCs are worth $10, but they all count. Right? So now sales doesn't get off the hook. If marketing is going to be that granular in terms of their accountability, sales needs to do those leads justice. And so there's a lot of data out there that says if you call a lead within seconds or minutes, you're exponentially higher at being successful with them relative to days and weeks. I know I need to call it fast, but what happens if I get voicemail? When should I call it again? Should I call the lead this afternoon, tomorrow, next week? How many times should I try a lead before I give up? As a leader, should I give each salesperson one lead a month and have them call a lead 1,000 times? Or give them 1,000 leads a month and have them call each lead once? Neither's right, but where's the optimal answer? So there's, you can do a lot of studies as you scale these businesses. This is one that I did against 50,000 leads that we called. Some of the times we call them only once. I don't know why. Other times we call them 15 times. That's a lot of work. And so what you see is the profitability in the y-axis. So obviously if you call a lead 15 times, you're going to get them on the phone more often, but that's a lot of cost. So where's the optimal answer? It turns out for us at the time, for small business leads, the optimal number of attempts was 5. For mid-market, it was 8. And for enterprise, it was 12. So now I could go to the sales team and say, folks, we calculated the optimal calling patterns to make the most money at our company. They love that. We built it into the CRM. You don't have to think about it. Make the call, the CRM updates itself. We'll pop the lead up when it needs to be called again. Love it. And every night we'll send a report to show if you're off track. It just depends on your culture and how you roll that out. But for the most, in good cultures, they like that accountability and know that if they miss this, their paycheck is falling through the cracks. So it's pretty simple. It's just, I want every lead called within 2 hours or it's assigned to someone else. I want every lead contacted more than 3 times in 7 days. I want every lead contacted more than 6 times in 21 days. And I want all opportunities closed, either open, lost or won in 6 months. I made those up, but you get the point. And then just put them into a simple dashboard that goes out every night to the sales team, marketing team, CEO, and head of sales. Perfect accountability, right? And so now we're very confident that we're holding these reps accountable to that behavior that you want, and none of these leads that marketing is working really hard are setting, filling out. So both the marketing SLA and the sales SLA are sent out. Marketing's journey from $0 to the $1 million. How are we doing each day? And sales, are we calling our leads efficiently and effectively?